All right, everybody. So we're going to go through slides 22 through 35 today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is protecting our brain. So you've got the brain, and then you've got your skull, and in between your brain and the skull, there's a space. And you've got tissue wrapped around your brain to protect it, and fluid. So you think about it, if you're getting in a car wreck and your brain hits and you get your head shaken back and forth, that brain is just moving inside your skull, and we want to have a little bit of cushion, want to have a little bit of fluid. That way we're damaging the least amount of your brain tissue as possible. So we're going to talk about what those three layers are that's protecting it. So I almost think about it as like gift wrap paper, right? It's protecting that present. So the very first thing when it comes to the three layers of the brain, I'm going to go once again to a Christmas present package. So the Duramater, it's known as the tough mother, right? So the Duramater, I'm going to go to this picture now. So we did a transverse cut, looking down onto the skull. So there's the bone, and then of course there's the brain, and then here's the three meninges, the three tissues. All right, so the Duramater, that's your tough mother. You can see it's not translucent, it's thick. That's like your cardboard box, right? Your cardboard box. Then you get to your next layer, which is your arachnoid mater. Now your arachnoid, it definitely spreads out. It covers a lot of space. It's not as thick as the Duramater. It's a more of a thinner membrane tissue, right? And so your arachnoid is branching it out. So that's going to be like your soft padding inside of your present. Maybe the little foam balls, or, the packaging where you can pop the bubbles. So that'd be your arachnoid. Okay, finally you get to the pia mater, and that is the delicate one. Okay, now this is that clear, soft tissue wrap around your present. Okay, now this goes into the cracks and the crevices of the brain. And so all these little folds and intricate gaps, that pia mater is going to go into those cracks and crevices. So you got your three meninges, your three tissues protecting your brain. You got your cardboard box, the Duramater, Duramater, mater mater. You've got your arachnoid, and then you got the pia. All right, so there's your three meninges. And this is going to be important because, and I love this. You look at this Duramater, and it is where location is of it, pointing that out after the skull. But we're going to talk about how you could have different hemorrhages. Okay, this is bleeding of the brain and locations of where this could happen. So let's look at this first one, subarachnoid hemorrhage. Sub means below, so you got to think your arachnoid. You got to understand the difference between a hemorrhage and a hematoma. Okay, so here is a hemorrhage. That is bleeding. It's open bleeding escaping. So think about it, you get a cut on your hand, it is hemorrhaging. The blood is gushing out. Now a hematoma is when that blood pools and you get a collection of blood. And that's usually what you see when a blood vessel ruptures under your skin and you see that pool of blood and you get a bruise, right? But once you cut that open and the blood is pouring out, that'd be your hemorrhage. Now, can you internally hemorrhage? Absolutely. When that blood vessel ruptures and the blood is coming out internally, it's hemorrhaging. And where it pools and collects, that's your hematoma. All right. So let's go back to what this could be, a subarachnoid hemorrhage. So let's not worry about hemorrhage or hematoma. Let's just think about subarachnoid. So it's going to be below the arachnoid. So it's going to be your blood pooling, blood rupturing, blood escaping between that arachnoid and the pia mater. Okay, so the subdural hematoma. So it's below the dura mater. So you got the dura, you got the arachnoid, and there is blood between those two that's pooling. Epidural hematoma. So epi is on top. So you got the dura, epi means it's on top, right? So knowing that, if you hear the word epidural, subdural hematoma, you get an idea of where that's occurring within the tissues. Okay, which one would be worse? Well, any hematoma or hemorrhage that's closest to the brain itself is going to be the worst. So you look at this one, epidural, that's on top of the dura mater, not as dangerous. Below the dura mater, not as dangerous, but between the arachnoid and the pia, more dangerous, more pressure put onto the brain tissue, causing brain damage. Okay. All right. So here, once again, you can see here would be your hematoma, collection of the pooling of the blood, and this would be a hemorrhage where it's actually ruptured open and pouring out. Now let's look and orient ourselves. We are looking anterior on that front view. You can see the two hemispheres. This would be the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere. You can see right here would be your parietal, your temporal, and the frontal lobe has been chopped off. Back here would be the occipital, and then of course the very inner core limbic system. So here we've got a hemorrhaging that looks like it's occurring right here in the core, bleeding out. All right, so let's look in here. Epidural hematoma. Now I like these images. It gives you an idea of what's going on. So there's your skull and then the dura mater. This is where usually, once again, you think about domestic violence. You think about medical examiners when they're performing autopsies. You go back to thinking about JonBenét Ramsey, and now seeing that if the ME listed that there was epidural hematomas, you know that that is the fracturing of the skull, and once again, you have blood vessels networked through your bone and your outside tissue. Those blood vessels are ruptured, and you got that pooling of the blood, putting pressure on the brain. Okay, but it looks like it wasn't a deep enough wound where it's ruptured the tissues. So this would be, I don't know, I guess the softer of the blows, where you have a hematoma on the epidural, on top of the dura mater. All right, let's look at the next one. Okay, subdural hematoma. So if we look in here, that is below the dura mater, so it's between the dura and the arachnoid. Once again, collection of the blood. You can see here, oh man. So looking at it, it doesn't even look like in this picture that the skull was even fractured. Maybe there is other type of damage. Maybe there is a tumor and it's rupturing a blood vessel and you got the pooling of the blood. But it definitely looks more substantial where the brain tissue is being damaged. Then you got to think, well, if the brain tissue is being damaged, well, which lobe? What is that controlling? Okay. Same thing here, putting pressure on the brain. Now, it definitely could be some type of, they call them TBI, traumatic brain injury, where it's a car wreck or a blow to the head, domestic violence, whichever, that cracked the skull and ruptured through the tissue enough where it's creating that pooling between the dura and the arachnoid. Oh, oops. Where are we at? Okay. So what I want you to do right now is, this is something that I'd have you do in class, is every one of these things I would expect to be able to identify. So I would just now, you can touch the different parts of your brain. So cerebrum, okay, cerebellum's in the very back. We got frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital, brainstem connecting your brain to your spinal cord. And then think, okay, dura on top. Arachnoid's the middle layer, the cream of the Oreo, and the pia is what goes in the cracks and crevices. Okay, and then you hear the word epidural, subdural, subarachnoid hematoma. So I know I went through that really quick. I would just, before you move on, pause the video or whatever and just review these. Where is this at in your brain? Okay, let's go on. All right, this is just a little visual review. Once again, looking at all these different colors regarding the brain, I would take a minute and be like, okay, what do each one of these do? What's their job? All right. So hopefully frontal lobe, you remember it's your higher level thinking, it's your personality. Parietal lobe is your senses, pressure, even visualization. Occipital lobe is your sight, your vision. Temporal lobe is short-term memory, hearing, language, interpretation. Cerebellum, balance, coordination. And then brainstem is that life support, breathing, even your heart rate. So take a second, review through them each on your own. All right, here is our meninges, protecting that brain. Once again, not an organ that you want to damage. So you go from the outside on in, and then we'll go, once again, more superficial onto deep. All right, this is your tough mother, your dura mater, arachnoid, and then your pia mater, all the meninges. Okay, if you remember this picture, this is the core and your limbic system, and this is what controls your emotions. All right, so your limbic system is your control center for your emotions. All right, which one do we have here? So once again, I hope you pause the movie before I give you the answer. But you look at these. Here's the skin. Information's going from the skin to the brain. So that means the skin, the nerves are sensing it and taking it up to the brain for processing. And then it's going from the brain back down to the body, and that'd be the motor nerves. So you got the sensory nerves to the motor nerves. Okay. Something I didn't go over is your CNS, that's your central nervous system, right? Okay. Last slide here. And this is just, I want you to identify, okay, where is this happening in the meninges? So there's the dura mater. There's the there's your arachnoid. So it looks like there's swelling between the dura and the arachnoid. So would that be an epidural or would that be a subdural? Okay, hopefully you're thinking, well, that's a subdural hematoma. Once again, putting pressure on the brain. And a lot of times when things like this happen, in surgery, they'll just take the skull and literally remove the skull off the body and allow the swelling to come up and out of that hole until it heals itself, subsides, and they put the skull back on. I watched a video where that took place in a surgery, and it was pretty trippy to check out. So that's kind of what they would do if there was ever an accident or, once again, domestic violence, and they're trying to not have permanent brain damage. Well, let's remove the skull plate, let it swell, and then subside without putting pressure and damaging it. Okay, so here we are, end of the slide. So we complete this review assignment and take your quiz. All right, till next time.